Greg Raymond is a research associate at the Strategic and Defence Studies Centre at the Australian National University. He joins us now from Canberra. Thanks for being with us. Do you think this summit's going to happen?
Look, I think it's really a 50-50 proposition at the moment. It's very difficult to see what's going to happen. We have a two-level game here really essentially occurring. Both sides need to message internal audiences as well as negotiating with their foreign counterparts. In that climate, with two leaders, both of whom are volatile in temperament, anything could happen. We've seen very drastic switches of direction previously. I think there's no reason why that can't continue right up until the projected date for the Singapore summit.
I mean, do you think the North Koreans are right to be worried when it comes to dealing with the Trump administration?
I think the North Koreans are right to be worried when it comes to US foreign policy in relation to matters such as democracy and regime change. In my view, it's likely that the use of the Libya analogy has upset North Korea's ruling elite. If you remember, Muammar Gaddafi, in the end, during the Arab Spring, was overthrown by a American-supported military campaign, and eventually that leader led a very violent, ugly demise at the hands of rebel forces. Now, that kind of scenario would send nightmares through the Kim Jong-un family and elite. So they would be right to be concerned about possible shifts in American policy that might have very serious detrimental ramifications for their regime.
Well, you mentioned that the two sides are talking to their domestic audiences as well as to each other. Do you think the North Koreans are ready for such a drastic shift in policy as a summit would indicate?
I think that the North Koreans are led to believe that the Kim dynasty are absolutely perfectly placed to make decisions for benefit of the North Korean state. That is the touchstone of state ideology in North Korea. I think that people would be expecting another great accomplishment from the Kim dynasty, and if that meant a peaceful agreement with the United States, then they would be ready to accept it. Now, on the United States side, clearly we have a leader in Donald Trump who prides himself on his superior negotiating skills. Now, he has wanted to distinguish himself from his predecessors in being able to make better deals in the US interest. So he needs to continually shine that image of being a better negotiator, and that means holding North Korea to quite high standards of verification, quite high standards of having given the US benefits. And we look at the Iran example in that context, where they've now walked out of the Iran deal on the basis that it wasn't good enough for US interests. So that's the kind of image the US wants to project at home.
So which leader has more to lose, do you think, if the summit doesn't take place?
Well, I think it's very hard to debate whether or not it is North Korea. Of course, North Korea really has an existential crisis at the moment. I think they understand, and this is the problem, if these negotiations, if this summit doesn't take place, we are back to square one, where the US policy is that all instruments, all options are on the table, including a military option. And that, of course, is a very serious possibility that the North Korean regime must consider. That I don't think they can dismiss that lightly, that this regime in the US may be prepared to go ahead with military action.
Greg Raymond, very interesting to get your points of view there from Canberra. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.